Welcome to the After. I'm your host, Rob Lou, man. We back with another one. First, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like, comment, subscribe. Make sure to press that notification bell. Also, follow us on Instagram at theafterhour.tv. And check out our new website with the same title, man, theafterhour.tv, to get your new After Hour logo snapbacks. And shout out to my bro, man, Coco. You know what I mean? Make sure you hit up Mo Barbershop to get your new fresh cut. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you clean out here. And we back, man, like I told you, with another one, man. Our special guest for this episode. This court we at, man, he did a lot of legendary things on this court, man. Brought our women and girls together to showcase their talent, build a community within a community, what we're all about, as you know. And we talked about everything, man. How to blossom out of a legendary shadow, how to overcome adversity. We talked about it all, man. So we here. This is episode, what I'm gonna call this, man? It's episode Smoove, man. Episode Coach Smoove. Sis Run Smoove, man. That's what we're gonna call it, man. So we here, man. I'm your host, Rob Lou. It's the After Hour. We back with another classic. You already know what it is. Welcome to the After Hour. I'm your host, Rob Lou. Welcome to the After Hour. We back, man. Got my mans with me. Big ups. What's the word, brother?
Doing well, man. Biggs over here.
How you feeling, man? We gotta.
I'm feeling good.
We gotta celebrate. We got a special one.
3 years in.
3 years, man.
It flew by.
Flew by.
Absolutely feeling kind of old.
Chill. We hitting our prime, man.
Just hitting our prime, but definitely 3 years in. A lot of great guests, and we got another one that we're about to get ready to interview and chop it up with, speak to. But
I want to say I appreciate you, man, because since the first time when, I don't know if you remember, we were sitting in my whip, I'm like, bro, I got an idea. Yeah. That's what I want to do. And you always support everything I'm doing. I really appreciate that. You feel me? Like, as we get older, some relationships fade, you know, not as strong as they were before, but we can not see each other 10 years, and it'll be the same love every time.
Man.
You feel me?
Never skip a beat, absolutely. I always try to support my friends that are ambitious, and you're one of them, bro. I tell you all the time, we have those talks where I've seen the 180 from all the different endeavors that you've taken on, and I'm definitely proud of you for sticking with this 3 years in. I mean, in 2020, you know, to be here right now in November and still doing this right now, that says a lot. So
I appreciate you sticking with me, man, and still doing it. We got so much more to partake in. We're gonna celebrate. Also want to say rest in peace to my grandfather that just passed away. Definitely rest in peace to him. We're gonna celebrate. We got that clico, you feel me? So we gonna toast it up.
Oh, that rosé.
You know, and we definitely gonna introduce the guest, and then we gonna pour him some too, cause we gotta do it. Toast to forever, man. We gonna keep rocking to my brother, man. We gonna keep doing this, bro. Right. We got a special episode, man. We got someone who. We have family ties, man. We got family ties, man. Our fathers grew up together, and it's amazing that we were on separate courses, but being brought together at a perfect time where we're both pushing for the community, bringing people together, and we're all about giving people their flowers. And this brother been grinding, doing his thing, showing other people love. So it's time that we show him love, man. So you've seen the sis run, man, but this is the man behind it. He does much more than that. But I got my man G, I got my man Greg with me in the building, man. Shout out to you. I appreciate you for stopping by. What's going on, man? How you feeling? Let me pull you up first before we get into it. Feel me? We here. I appreciate you for stopping by the After Hour.
Happy to be here.
But how you feeling though? How you feeling, man? Talk to us, brother.
Good, man. I'm in a good space. You know, fortunately for me, my family's healthy. You know, I'm really grateful for that. You know, obviously we're dealing at a time where we don't have, other families aren't as fortunate. You know what I'm saying? We've seen that, you know, it's just been so prevalent within the country, around the world. So I'm just grateful, always grateful for that first. But yeah, I'm just living,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And it's hard to do that. You know, if you're being very, very human about it, it's hard to do that. Hard to live in a time like this, but I'm living. I'm genuinely happy. Oldest daughter turns 14 this week on Wednesday. Like,
Happy birthday to her.
Talk about time flies. Madison, happy birthday. I love you. And you know, I got a 2-year-old, you know, little over 2, Kennedy, and you know, I'm so happy for my kids, man. And you know, so they're doing their thing in school. Yeah, I'm just living, man.
Let's get right into it, man. So, how was it growing up in Boston, man? A lot of people that watch our show grew up in similar environments, and we're all about kind of just telling how this story goes. A lot of times coming from certain areas, it's tough because what you see around you not necessarily sometimes encourage you, inspires you. It sometimes can, you know, leave you depressed, stressed, leave you with a lot of trauma. So what was it like growing up in the Bean? Where did you grow up, and how was it growing up?
Well, growing up for me, man, it's like, you know, I like to say I'm fortunate. I kind of had two tails. I kind of had two sides, right? Like, you know, I had my mom and dad who, you know, raised me early in JP, right? So, you know, they're together, but then they split, you know, so I'm with my mom. You know, my mom's moving around, working 2-3 jobs, busting a hump, right, doing her thing. And, you know, my dad was, while early, trying to, you know, get his professional basketball career going. He ended up, you know, falling short of that, you know, due to his own trials and tribulations with, you know, drugs and running into it with the law. So, for me, early on, it was, you know, how to see my mom in her light doing her thing. You know, it was almost like clockwork. But then just trying to figure out, like, you know, all right, where's dad and all this, and so yeah, man, that was it was fun. You know, I can't lie, because like your mom's is like doing everything she can and making sure I don't want for nothing. So it was like, had a good relationship, and but you know, again, like, you're living in Boston, and it just, you know, it ain't easy, right? You know, I've lived in Mattapan, Roxbury. You know, I moved around, you know, a little bit.
So, I would say, kind of, when did you? Because I want to touch on it. When did you realize your pops was what other people seeing? You feel what I'm saying? Because people that don't know that are watching, that don't know his pops, call him Smoove, right? If you go around Boston, you ask anybody about Smoove, they're gonna tell you everything you need to know. They're gonna give you the full rundown. People heard of like hood legends. People heard of like people that are known in the community for being, I mean, that one. You feel what I'm saying? He was one of those ones. Him and my uncle ran together. They were like, you know, like the LeBron and D Wade. You feel what I'm saying? Like buddy taking over the city, going to whatever gym, taking over, and he was a staple in the community. And one of those, his story. His father was, and his father says it like, because his father was younger than my pops. So my pops is kind of one of those same ones that looking to make it out. Okay, for the hood, he's one of the ones. Shout out to my pops.
Shout out to your pops. Your pops, like my father says it religiously, like that's who he looked. That's his mentor now. So, and even one of mine still, because I always had major respect for your pops. So. You know, so you know you come from good stock. Feel me? Yeah. So,
I want to say, because me and you have an interesting dynamic I want to get to. Right. So, like I said, if people don't know, one of those ones when it comes to basketball, most respected, playing against top NBA players that played in the league. Like he said, it was just some shortcomings that happened, but he was one of those ones. So when did you realize your pops was Smoove and not just Pops?
Well, I realized early because his name wasn't like Greg, it was Smoove. You feel me? And I was Lil Smoove. So for a while, I was being called Lil Smoove before I was like Greg.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
Got the same story.
So it's like, right. So you know what that's about. But it was, I would say it was probably 2 times, right? Like they had this league back in the day called the Ebony Ivory League, like way back. Your pops probably played. and it was live, right? It was kind of like a mini Rucker feel, right? And I just remember my pops was playing with this like other dude and he was just like throwing alley-oops all over. It was my first time really seeing him rock, but I saw how everybody like.
So you got to see your pops play.
And when I was very, very young, like, and that's why I always say, like, I always wish I had the footage, because I don't remember, like, because I know so much about the games now, so I can't, like, look at them and see, like, oh. So, but I also got to see him, obviously, he got older, and I got a little older, but, he still had game when he was older, so he's in the projects, right? He's on Heath Street. Going to work. Like, they had the Midnight League, they had the Old Men's League, and these are all like top young players in their 20s, just coming home from college. He's torching them. But it's like a show, hanging on the gate, like, and that's where it was like, oh. And it was every game. And that's when I realized, like, he's good now.
Yeah, imagine.
It was like, it kind of blew me away,
Yeah, not same here. My pops, right? He used to play 50 with us, 21, do all these. He's 40 at this time, like, and doing trick shots, doing wild at that age, you feel what I'm saying? So I can only imagine, and that's why it's dope with like stuff that we're doing and stuff that you're doing, because I have no footage of my pop. I've never seen my pops play ever.
No, he said he was so raw. Like, he had the same style of game as my, like, sturdy, strong, and no one could ever take the ball from him, and he was a general. Yeah. And so it's like, and we know the game. We played it at high levels, and it's like, what we would give to kind of see that. Imagine if we could see that, to kind of put it in stuff that we
Because hearing the stories different from seeing it, like this, like we'll get into the CIS run, but like the CIS run, the invitational tournament. We're recording everything. You feel what I'm saying? Like, we had a media day. We did so many things. So like, people can look back at this footage 20 years from now and show their kids. You feel what I'm saying? So like, this is a luxury that we're able to provide that back in the day wasn't available. Like, if someone videotaped it, who knows where it's at now? You feel what I'm saying? All you see is really pictures. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, so it's newspaper clippings. Yep. Anybody out there, if y'all got footage, Jazz, Smoove, please send it our way, because it's like, that's just priceless stuff, like, for us. Like, the Canada stories, like, like, apparently in Canada he was like legendary. Like, they had this big tournament every year, and he was like the main show. And putting up 40s, like coming back MVP. So, but you just never seen it.
So being, my fault to cut you off, being like, with that like little Smoove and things like that, I want to hear your opinion. I'll tell mine. What was that like for you? Was it like bittersweet, where it's like, okay, I appreciate the little Smoove, I appreciate it, but it's like, nah, I gotta create my own legacy. I gotta be Greg. I gotta be G. I got, you know what I'm saying?
Living up to the Smoove name, that legacy.
Well, I'm 36 now, so I can embrace it and like tell it for real. At first, it was like, this is what I am. Like, at first, like, even at like Ebony, like, oh wow, like, now it ain't like, wasn't like comic book characters no more. It was like, oh, it's Smoove, right? So you embrace that first, and you want to live up to it, and but then you get older. You get a little older, and then all of a sudden before games start going under the referee. And funny story, my first time at the Hennigan, you probably don't even, I think you was younger. My first time at the Hennigan playing, right, and this is the gym right next to the projects, and this was the first time I started like playing basketball, and youth, like, Pee Wee League type deal. Long story short, the first time I get in the game, I shoot on the wrong hoop and make it. And it was like, and that was like a killer.
Let me build the atmosphere for the people that's watching. So these type of gyms,
you don't understand, cuz.
Hecklers is an understatement. These are people you see on a regular day basis. They're at you though, no matter what you do.
And this is a kids league.
The stakes are high.
It's a kids league game, like little kids. Little kids. And and so that was the first taste. It was like there was an expectation, right? Like, damn, like, you know, some of the older kids kind of clowning me and whatnot. So, but then I started playing in the projects. Like, I started playing in the summer leagues. By this time, I didn't kind of hone my game, but everybody else is honing their game now. And now I'm coming in the summer leagues. Smoove, you know, I went to this, I was in Metco. I was going to school out in Cohasset. So I was feeling myself. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, I was, the Lil Smoove moniker was in me. It was like, and then it was the first time I had to start testing my game against like city kids, for real. And that's when the humbling experiences started to kind of like stack up, because it was like, after, like, there was games where it was like, you think you play well, it's like, all right, well, you smooth, you ain't really smooth.
Yeah.
Like, you smooth, but you ain't.
And still always getting measured up.
Yeah. It was, you know, and whether it would be like family, like, me and Stevie had this thing. Me, Stevie, and Larry just had this thing, right? And they all looked up, and that's the thing. My pops.
Shout out to Larry and Steve.
Shout out to Larry and Steve Haley, man. Love them to death. That's family. They looked. All the kids that played ball looked up to him, right? So that was like Uncle Smoove to them. So they're like, and I remember at one point Larry was calling himself Little Smoove, and it pissed. Was tight. Like, what? And that's when the chip kind of like, grew, because it went from, oh, I am Lil Smoove, you know what I mean? I'm a be smooth. And then it went from like, they don't really think you're smooth. And it was always trying to like prove that. So it's an experience that, I don't get to talk about much, because it's like, it's just part of my journey, right? But I do embrace it. You know what I mean? It has its tough times. Like, if you're being human about it, like, pressure's pressure.
And during this time, did you like actually love the game of basketball, or you just felt like it was just an expectation of you, like being the child of Smoove, you just had to play the game? Like Jordan kids. You know what I mean? Like, they probably didn't really care to play. It's just that they were Jordan's kids, so they had to go, where did they go? USC.
UC, one of the UCF. Yeah. He actually had some game, too.
One of the younger ones was better than the older one.
I think so.
Yeah.
He
got the
I think the other one went to Illinois, I think.
Yeah. Shout out to him. He got the trophy sneaker joint. Oh, yeah, he does trophy.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I actually loved, like, I grew to love the game, because I had being his son, right? Like, I remember we would have conversations like when he was locked up, and he would like talk to me about the game, right? Like, the mental side of the game, because he couldn't show me, he could tell me, and I like really bought into that, right? Like, the times he would match up against dudes, and like the things he would do, the things he would say, like, you know what I mean? He just really schooled me from like a mental. That's why I'm really grateful for that, having that relationship, because it's like, that's where I gained a lot of the IQ I have, the want to teach the game, but early on, you just smooth. You got, listen. That's just what you got to be. And but I liked it though. Like, I looked at my pops as like Superman, bro. Like, he was everything. So you looking at Superman do his thing, you're like, well, damn, you a son?
Was there ever a point where it's like Big said, where it's like you feel like you're doing it to kind of live up, and like you say, you were growing to love the game. You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, were there times you're like, I kind of really not loving this. You feel I'm doing it because I'm doing it. You know what I mean? In the city, everyone's playing ball, but
high school. So I had gotten in a little trouble. I got kicked out of Cohasset, and I went to Brighton. And so Brighton in, 99, 2000, like, ain't no household name in city high school ball. We're talking like Eastie, Madison, Charlestown, English, O'Brien, even Burke, right? Like even Latin Academy. But I'm going there to make mine. Like I had a choice to go to I actually didn't want to go to chose not to go to Madison because I didn't want that. Yeah. Right? Like I just didn't want that. I was coming into city schools. I wanted a clean slate. I didn't want to kind of wanted a break from all that. So I definitely at Brighton began to see like this basketball is this whole deal is this like tough. Like it ain't for the weak. Especially like because my whole deal was like I'm trying to be like good. Like there's nobody else who I thought was better than me that I played against. Like that's just the way I thought. Yeah. So, in my eyes, like, I gotta stay the course. It's hard to stay the course when you're playing against teams that's beating you by like 50s and 60s, bro. I know that. You know what I'm saying? It's not a comfortable feeling. So when you're going on being from a high, you're playing against a certain level of competition on a day-to-day basis, and you feel confident about your game. The love for the game kind of goes weary when you're just like you're not finding success. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even on a personal level, like I made a city all-star team, and I felt like it was one of my worst seasons because like we was losing so much. So, but I would say that was a time where it was like it just wasn't fun, and I was getting snappy at practice. I was a junior, so I was like, I was like very Chris Paulish. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I have a liking for Chris Paul because it's like I don't got a time to do nothing else but win. Yeah. So if you ain't on that type of time.
It's interesting because for me, right, it was kind of the opposite, where it's like I love the game, but my love for the game grew fonder as time went on. You feel what I'm saying? Because like the same thing, people see me as little jazz, you feel what I'm saying? I'm hearing whispers, you feel what I'm saying? He ain't really, you know what I mean? I was a little chubby kid, could shoot though. Yeah. But my pops is known for, he was skinny, quick, had the handle and all that. Our games are completely different. But like the passing side I learned from him, and like you said, the mental side, like I'm a cool person, but on the court, I'm grabbing short, I'm talking in your ear, like I want to win. You feel what I'm saying? I'm doing whatever it takes, saying hard script, I'm doing whatever. You feel what I'm saying? So, but as time got on, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get better. I'm starting to hear this shit, and this shit is motivating me even more. So now I'm running, I'm training, I'm hitting the weights, I'm getting in good shape. So like once high school hit, I was a totally different player than what people seen in middle school.
Down, it was over.
Slimmed down, had a little buys on me, buys and tries, you feel me? So it was a different type of level, and then I'm gaining a lot more respect. Yeah. I'm going to 5-star camps. Yeah. I'm an all-star, playing against top players. So it's like now people know me. I'm Tyree. You feel what I'm saying? I'm Lil Rob, but I'm not Lil Jazz. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm me. You feel what I'm saying?
Wasn't Lil Jazz.
Yeah, I was my own player. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, but I think having those high expectations, we're all doing great things. Yeah. So it's like our kids are gonna have some type of expectation to live up to, especially when you're trying to achieve great things. So it's like coming from those perspectives, now you understand some of the things that they may be going through, which the parents may not even understand. It's so far beyond, they just them, but people are worshiping these people. People are like thanking them for small things, small gestures. I'm sure your pops did, that stick in kids' head forever. Even Larry saying that he's little Smoove. You feel what I'm saying? But to us, that's pops just doing, you know what I mean? So it's like.
Yeah, and my pops like
he's smart about that, like, because he knew that created competition. Yeah. He was actually out at that time, and so like he kind of smiled about it. Yeah. Stevie egged it on, and it was just like, it was this thing. And it's crazy, like, because the next game, like, I was talking and just doing all that. So it was just like I just used those little moments where somebody would tell you like, oh, you ain't, oh, I ain't? All right.
It builds character.
Right.
It builds character, and I feel like being that underdog builds something different in you. You feel what I'm saying? Because like when people doubt, like especially when you're doing positive things too, a lot of people don't want to give you the flowers. You feel what I'm saying? They act like what you're doing, they overlooking. It's some other shit that's going on. They'll like support, but it's like when you've been doubted a long time, that's regular to you. It only motivates you even more. So it's like now when you really level up, you gonna show them. I mean, this is regular. You feel, this is what we do. You feel? It builds that chip forever.
Yeah, it's a certain tier of confidence that you have, and I try to, I give that same, I try to give that same tutelage to the kids that I work with, like whether that be in high school or on the court, like or in the schools, like even the little wins, right? Stack those on top of each other, and always look at the side of failure as an opportunity, as not really failure. You feel me? That's actually what I got from my man right here. Shout out to Kobe, man. R.I.P.
I forgot, man. Shout out to my man Coco, man. We're in his establishment, man. Mo Barbershop. Make sure if you want to fly, cut, man, get laced up to go out. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you come out to Mo
Nice
Barbershop.
little venue here, definitely nice and cozy.
Yeah, it's nice, man. You see the chairs. You know what I'm saying? You see everything. They even got the Kobe and Gigi. We'll show those too. We'll make sure we edit those in. But they even got the Kobe Gigi
I
joints.
walked in. That was smooth.
Yeah, man. Shout out to him, man. I appreciate him for showing us love, for having us be here. But so let's get into the. I want to get into this cis run, and we can kind of double back on some other things. But I really want to touch on that because it's really layered. So before you get into that, we get hit with a pandemic. We had so many things big lined up for this year. And they got put
Everyone
on,
did.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean? New decade,
Talk about it, bro.
new year.
2020. Everyone's like having those 2020 talks.
Usually everyone keeps saying this year is my year, but I truly believe everyone wholeheartedly believed it in their heart that this year was their year.
That's
and
a
it's
fact.
just
Y'all really felt like 2020, because 2020 is like a number, right? There's just a thing about the number 2020. Everybody had these big expectations, but like we was talking about, like I just got that sense like y'all was on some real takeover-ish, like.
Yeah, I just feel like you said, I feel like a lot of people had it because it was a new decade.
Yeah,
it was starting fresh.
It's like a reset button.
Yeah.
Like, all right, new decade, coming of age. You know what I mean? It's like you're at that point where you're foreseeing, you're looking towards the future. Even though this year was trash. I don't like to say trash because, me personally, it wasn't too crazy. A lot of unfortunate stuff happened, but like you was looking at the next decade, not necessarily year. But 2020 was supposed to be the start, like, of the new decade, and it was just weird. But
it was weird, but they say the 2020 vision, and definitely opened up a lot of eyes. To a lot of
absolutely.
Shit, though.
You gotta embrace it. Definitely gotta be grateful for everything that happened. Like we were talking offline, but just this was the year of adjustment. Like you either adjust or you just get lost in the sauce. So it was definitely an eye opener in many different ways.
And when those things happen, like you said, you gotta adjust. You gotta find what you're gonna do. You can't just sit on your ass the whole time. You know what I'm saying? You gotta do something. So for you, and we'll talk about what the cis run is for people that don't know, but just like what was your mind state for you personally when a pandemic hit? And I'm sure maybe you had things going on. You recently were appointed head coach for the Brighton girls basketball team. Congratulations to you for that.
Brighton High, man. We don't, we get a lot more love now. We've been on the winning side of things. From about 2010 on, but and that's my alma mater at the end of the day. So shout out to y'all, Brighton High.
So did you get the news before or after the pandemic?
It was brewing towards the end of the pandemic, but I hadn't really considered it yet. And then I had the pandemic hit, and pandemic hit, and then movies just started floating in my head like, damn, like pandemic, like what is that?
Shit might be over.
I'm not even gonna lie. I thought I'm like,
Yo, me too.
is the party done?
Yeah.
Like, do we need to start running for the hills? Like, you just don't know, right? And then once you get more educated on things, and so I started to kind of like set my mind towards like, all right, what effect does this have on our kids, school, my own kids? Then what you do, like basketball, like does that just like we started looking at professional leagues and. But yeah, no, I had gotten the offer officially from one of the head of schools at Brighton, along with the AD, and they just came to me straight and said like, we want it to be you, like presence in school, you doing what you do. So, and I had to think about it. I'm coming from the boys side of things, and so I had to give it some real thought. But yeah.
So you take the job now. What are you thinking? You know what I'm saying? You got the job now. What's your game plan? What are you thinking? What's next? Because I know once I wasn't I coached a lot, but I wasn't a head coach for high school. I used to coach at their academy too, and I was assistant over there. And when you're a coach, especially for a school, like I've coached, AU and stuff like that, but for like a school, you really got to have it's a program now. You feel what I'm saying? So like, and you were assistant before you were head coach, and once you move that seat over, a lot more responsibility comes into play. So I'm sure you got different philosophies you're thinking about, and just a whole lot. So what were some things that kind of came into your mind of how you would run? This is Greg's organization. This is Greg's program. What are some things? Yeah, what type of culture?
Instilling a culture in there.
Well, you gotta understand the first thought I had in my head wasn't like turn the program around, gotta make the cities next year, and like I wasn't even thinking towards wins. I watched from a kind of a close distance. I watched our girls program actually like take a tumble, and they have been pretty prominent, give or take for a long time, at least just on a consistent level, and the program just went downhill for a number of reasons, right? But they didn't get to finish their season. And I watched, a group of girls that, work hard before our boys come in and practice, and I used to just think to myself, like, man, like, I hope this doesn't happen to them. And then when it did, I was like, it left a bad taste in my mouth, right? And I had never forgotten that. I never forgot when girls would like ask me, like, yo, Greg, can you help out? You know what I mean? So, and that just like, that right there is what I took with me when choosing the job, because my thought is like, I want to get a group of girls together that want to play the game, understand that we're gonna teach this game, we're gonna have fun, and we're gonna complete a season. Yeah. Right? You can't just jump from not finishing a season to like city basketball doesn't, especially on the girls' side, doesn't go like that in terms of even like recruitment. So my plan was just to get a bond of girls together that was just about playing the game.
Question for you, right? So I know you said you were thinking about it. Were you thinking about not taking it?
Yeah.
What was those reasons?
I'm very loyal. Like I have a really close attachment deal to a fault, even sometimes. And so when I'm with my boys on a date, and like that's year round for me. You know what I mean? Like I'm just not a seasonal coach. Like I don't look at that as I believe in like development, off season. There is no off season. So I'm taking boys. Listen, I took the job, and I remember the same day I took the job, I took 3 boys to a workout at like Next Level Factory. You know what I mean? Yeah. Knowing I had just taken the job, like I gotta really like tell them, But that was really my thing. Like the one thing that made me take so long was like I'm just gonna leave my boys. Like our Kings need our older Kings for support too. Yeah. And I'm a big believer in that. Yeah, you know what I mean? So. But
the interesting thing, right? Because it's like when you think about things in hindsight now, like hindsight's 2020. Right? Mm-hmm. What if you never took this job? You wouldn't even be sitting here. You wouldn't be.
I might not be.
There's so many things that wouldn't have happened. We're gonna get into like the sis running, like everything like that. Why it was so.
The universe got real crazy around March. I tell you that much. It really did.
The devil, like Idle Time is the devil's playground. We had a deep conversation about that. Like, yes, you want to be loyal, but there's really things that eat at you in your head. Like, nah, don't take it. You good here. You straight. You fine.
I got daughters, man. Like I got, and that's the thing that's I'm most proud of, and so I'm looking at it from that lens. Like, what if it's my kids, like that couldn't finish this? You know what I mean? So
like I don't know if you answered this already, but like what was it that made you say, all right, I'm gonna just take it? Like, cause was it like a leap of faith? Like what exactly was? Like,
it was a leap of faith, but it was also a confidence level, like that I can do this.
Okay.
Right? It's like you don't just jump. Brighton's not the first desirable job for some high school coach, right? Yeah. You know, like you're on the outskirts of the city. You know, like you gotta want to put in the work, you know, every day. And at the end of the day, I just was like, this is my school. I took pride in that. I took pride in my school. I took pride in the game of basketball. The girls' game I was growing to love, like as year by year. Like I was seeing. Shout out to Bronco and the short show. So I actually got to, he got me introduced into girls basketball, right? Like by idle time, right? I'm coaching with like Madison and Madison Park, you know, right? And he's like, yo, man, you really doing your thing. What you want to do in the summer? I'm like, shit, I don't know. Like, enjoy the time with my daughter. He's like, you got to stay in the game. You got to stay in the game. And she put me in. And before you know, I'm at, where am I at? North Carolina that summer. We went to a tournament. And great experience, man. But that was my first time getting into the girls' game. And that was just because of idle time, right?
Yeah. Now that's dope. So now, because I really want to get into this run, because there's a lot more stuff I want to get into. But so, all right. So what happened that sparked this idea? What did you see going on? Because you got the job, right? You got the job before. Sorry. So you got the head coaching job. We're in a pandemic. What's going on? What sparked the idea? What did you see? What influenced you to do something?
It was layered, man. Like, first I was thinking like, okay, I'm in the girls' game now. Now I got to get really familiar. I got like, my thing was like, if I'm in, like, what'd you say? You in, you all in. And I was not going to be in with this girls' game unless I knew I was going to be all into it. And when I finally set my mind to that, I was like, well, now you just got to go about it like you go anything else. Like, start doing your research. I'm doing clinics, coaches clinics, combines here and there with some of the top girls and even the state. Just trying to get to know. I'm learning the bar of girls basketball, the top bar, seeing what that looks like, seeing what the habits look like, and working my way down. And then I just decided like, well, now we're in a pandemic. Now that I need to create some opportunity and maybe help a little buzz for Brighton High, because I want to get some of the best eventually in our building too, which I know we will. But I started watching this whole like sprinkle of like outside basketball within the boys' realm. Yeah. And it was like, come on, like, Rob, going to the park, it was nothing. It was like, I don't even want to get too deep into that, but like going to play pickup at wherever, it was just like.
It's funny that it took the pandemic where you can't go outside for people to start playing ball outside. Listen, the kids that I used to train all the time, oh my goodness, they never want to play at the park though. Mm-hmm. They just want to train. Training I love training. I love it. It's amazing. Yeah. But you got to really get out there. Like people are training 24/7.
You got to apply it.
You got to apply it. They just want to, yo, Rob, can we train? Yeah, we can. But when I see you play pickup, you do the same things you always do. Yeah. When we training, you're wasting my time. You're wasting yours. Like you got to be able to play and play hard, play against it. Like I remember we played in the crew love against each other, going at it, talking, shoving. I don't know him on the court.
And
like,
we're older at this point.
This is probably 3-4 years ago.
You don't got nothing to play for.
Yeah,
but like pride.
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
Like I ain't gonna.
I appreciate that though.
Like, I got the best.
Yeah, like I'm saying, we're really going at it though.
We ain't playing for fun. Who plays for fun?
Imagine if we're younger. When went to Dartmouth together. Those type of games was different.
Oh,
like
man.
it's crazy. You feel what I'm saying? So it was a breath of fresh air to see kids coming out and playing pickup basketball. But yeah, so you saw for the guys.
So I saw it within the guy. I haven't put myself together. Shout out to Charlie DeLoach. Me and him was just talking. It was like, yeah, we got a club, but we actually had like, my cousin Dana Valentine. Shout out to him. He's at Putnam Science. Right. You know DV. DV's at Putnam Science, so he's used to coach for Expressions too. So he's like really like into some of the top-notch high school boys players. Kid named Bensley Joseph going to Miami next year. Him, a whole bunch of guys came down. Michael Bivens court. We all, shots got filmed, and then I went home that night and I was like, man, that was fun. I'm a girls coach. And then all of a sudden it was like this wheel of, it was, I don't like to make it sound too magical, but I never like had a train of thought like processed that quickly as to like an idea formulating in your head. And I saw the court and I was like, there's 3 hoops. There's been girls talking about playing, like trying to get pickup runs everywhere, even asked me in my DMs. Let me just name this, because I had a thought, I was like, you could have a set of biv runs for the boys. No, sis run. And the minute I said it to myself,
You already know it.
I was like,
Those things come to you, man.
the next day, I talked with a few coaches, like, I'm trying to get something together. By the end of the day, a bunch of girls, high-tier college girls, high school girls in my inbox, like, where's it at? I put the flyer out there. We have about 50 girls there that first day.
Oh, wow.
And it was different. It was different, right? This is not like a big tournament. This is girls just coming to rock.
So for the viewers that are not familiar with it, can you just explain what is a sis run?
Okay, so sis run, and I had to play on it because sis run, obviously the play with the female game, but it just represented sisterhood, right? And that's what I wanted to just kind of like see out there. Like I wanted to see that vibe, like there's that court that everybody's like saying like, okay, we're gonna play here this summer. Then you bring your 5, you go to try to take over the court, stay in the court. Right, I wanted that vibe for the girls, but that's a sisterhood, just like a brother. That's a sisterhood. Like, sisterhood in sport, and like so little things just started like between the actual format of what I was trying to do to just even the name. It just started coming so fast, and so I named it Sis Run, and what it is, it's like so we have 3 courts. And there's a middle court. The middle court, Michael Bivens' signature court. Shout out to Mike Biv. That is the winner's court, right? That's where the pride, that's where the bragging rights.
That's bringing it back in the day.
That's
gotta
it.
Get on that middle.
You got to get on that middle where, and it's like that's the one everybody's really watching, and so there's kind of a format where you rotate, right? If you win, you go to the top tier court, right? Then you win there, you go in the middle court. And if you win, you keep winning. And then we would, we had the idea of giving out little things. We had some community partners that were like donating like masks and like shorts and stuff. Shout out to Keisha for that. And so we would give top performers, top teams, like, giveaways at the end. And so we added like just things every week. To kind of like, but I also had, like, I had gotten into, I'm at a point in my life where I'm really like working on just completely centering myself and trying to show that to the youth. And so mindfulness is a big deal for me. So I would just try to talk through the mental side of the game at first with our girls. And then just, especially about why you're out here. I always talk about finding your why. Some girls are out there just to have a bond with some of the, girls. Some girls are out there to make their high school varsity team, to put in work next year. Some girls are just prepping for, the best player in Massachusetts Caroline Ducharme, she's ranked number 5 in the country. She's out there, just putting in work.
You talking about it, and I love how you talking about it, but you got to put some more sauce on it. Cause listen, I want people to understand you got top high school players, top college players, and you got top players in the country though.
Yeah, so that's the format, right? But the cool thing about it, there's no divider. There's no high school and college. Who's on your team, and can you stay on that court for the whole day? And the beautiful thing to watch was like girls want that. Like, you know, we always talk about that mental toughness within the men's side of sports. It lies on the women's side. And I used to talk about Serena Williams like that. You know, like she's just like a supreme. You got to be a mentally tough competitor to do that, especially in a single sport game, right? Individual sport. These girls like wanted it, and there was trash talk, there was hard fouls, there was, you know, and again, there's no refs out there, so this is pickup, right? So it was like, it brought that vibe, man. But these are top tier girls. So like, we got girls from UConn. We had a girl from Michigan State that just transferred from Ohio State to Michigan State. She's making moves, talking trash, She made a move, like I was telling T earlier, like she made a, once I knew this was real, she made a move and tapped on girl.
You put this in there for them to see.
I will. Yeah, no, I know. I can definitely show you better than I can tell you. But even I've been around the girls' game for, you know, at that point, like some time, seeing the top, but I would see new stuff every single, and then it grew from like high school, some of the top in Boston, Massachusetts, all over Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New York, Maine, Connecticut, you know, and you know, God willing, and everything goes smooth for next year, we'll have some out-of-state action, man. So, yeah, man, it's really cool. It was special. It was necessary, and the girls want it. Like they just talk about it. They thank me. But I always say, and I just want to make it very clear, like, you know, and you know, you get some people out there, right, that will say like, what are you doing it for? You doing it for you? You doing it because you're in high school? You know, and it's like, I did that because I have a pure love for basketball, both sides, and I also I just wanted to see girls win on that same stage I've seen boys win for so long. You know what I mean?
To those people we don't entertain, like my man, what's his name? Jay Princess. Shout out to him, man, the OG. Some people's elevated just don't go up that high, brother. Yeah. You feel me? Like if I gotta explain to you why I'm doing it, we probably shouldn't be having this conversation. You feel what I'm saying? I'm wasting my breath because you don't even see the vision. Me trying to explain it to you, still not gonna see the vision. It's falling on deaf ears. You feel what I'm saying? So those people.
Me, by the way, it's like I had, you know, a nice little cluster of people that really, you know, went to battle with me and helped me every day. You know what I'm saying? And so this wasn't a solo act either, right? Like, one, it takes the girls to work, so they're the show, right? They make this thing work. I work for them. But then I had some really loyal people that was just, they're with me every day. Shout out to Black, shout out to Shan, shout out to Liddy Ligo, right? Shout out to Dana Valentine, shout out to Ashley Green, shout out to David Foster, Get Buckets podcast. He just started. Just had Gurley up there. It was really dope. Shout out to Chantel. Shout out to my mom. I had to use my mom's tables for, like, you know, scores tables and listen. So I get to mom, so I'm like, you know, Mark, I need your tables. What you need my tables for? And I'm like, I gotta do some. I'm doing something at the park. And when she found out what it was and it was for girls, she was like, I can help. And she didn't. Matter of fact, she didn't ask if she could help. She pulled up with another table and just started helping. And then all of a sudden, she was just like there every week, and I was like, man, like, just when you think like moms just be chilling, and then once you do something big, they're there. But then, funny enough, my pops, you know what I mean, they're every day. So my moms and pops, shout out to them, man. They were actually there and never asked them, never told them about it. They just knew what was happening. It was like, yeah.
Parents will really always be parents, man. No matter how old you get, like they always gonna support, man. And shout out to our team, man. I want to shout out to Tyreek, man. Shout out to Tori. Shout out to me and Kev, man. Shout out to Big Up
Shooters.
It take a team, man. It's shooters, man.
Y'all been doing this, and again, I pay attention to all the community work. You know what I mean? But to watch you create this platform and create it for us, right? Create it for our city. But give it a dynamic that maybe we really never had, man. And and Rob, you've done so much, you know what I mean? So you deserve your flowers too, you know what I mean? Biggs, you too, you know what I mean? I know Tyreek for so long, man. It's just like, it's just good. It's always good to tap in. You know, tap in now, man.
We do these things because it's like, it's not even what like people are actually doing. Like we had so many people that had dope stories, you feel what I'm saying? But it's really all about, if you see the universe, a lot of the stories be similar. It's always like certain things that happen, that decision that they make. Like I remember like vividly Re. Remember we had him and he talked about like a fat boy hit him up like, yo, stay with me in New Jersey for like a month or whatever. He's like, okay. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it was just a no-brainer. What if he never did that? Now, shout out to Ari. He's doing so many different videos and do a Lil Baby with so many different artists. Papa Don, Rick, like so many people. It's just like those things happen. It's like, if you really think about it too much, and you can just think yourself out of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because that we don't like change. Like, that's why you could have easily justified like why you shouldn't have gotten the job. Oh man, I got these boys I'm working out. I'm working out where I don't want to build.
I was in my head. I was
yeah.
I was like that.
But that's what we do. That's human nature. We're gonna like, we don't like to change. Like that would have been, I mean, now that you're in it, you're doing it, like that's just a whole new chapter in your life. So it's a testament to you that you had that confidence in yourself to just say, you know what, I'm gonna just do this.
Just do it.
I appreciate that, because that's
The power of just doing, right? Just do it's a real that. Like I love Nike, you know what I mean? But that model is real for me. You know what I mean? Like everything I've like ever really done, even like within coaching, with Madison, like I knew Madison was coaching. I knew I rocked with Wilson and my pops, but I just walked in one day and said, you know what? I want to coach, man. I want to get in the game. How I got into Bright, I think you remember. I was in the banks, and I used to see you around. I used to see you around, right? You know, tied up, right? I got the suit on, right? I'm banking. 3 years, I'm banking straight.
And that's a different world. For people that never done banking, you know, it's a different world. That's another story.
It's a cool money grind, right?
Yeah.
And I'd even settled into a nice little position, right? Like supervisory, my own office, chilling, right? Matter of fact, I'm in the middle of Dudley, right? Right at Bank of America, I'm chilling. And the head coach at Brighton, my man, Kurt. Shout out to Curtis Martin. Two-time state champion. Shout out to Hugh Coleman. He just called me. Just called me, like, you know what I mean? This is my man. We talk back. He's like, yo, how would you like to work and coach at Brighton? I was like, for real? He was like, yeah, like this upcoming school year. And it was like shocking, because my mind wasn't like, I wanted to get back into the game, but it was like, I transitioned into like a different stage of life. But then I was like, yo, give me a half hour, bro. I'm on lunch. I'm on lunch, and I really sat in my office. I had a matter of fact, I had a sub from Joe's, just sitting right, and I didn't even eat it. I ate it like after, because I was just like sitting there like there's a reason why he called me.
There's a reason.
Like you don't just get that call middle of the day for something like that.
Especially something that you, like, obviously you have a love for. It's not like he called you for some other random job that had nothing to do with any of your passions or something that you had knowledge on. It was like, all right, I've already been doing this, you know what I mean? This is my alma mater. It seemed like everything was just picture perfect. Everything was aligned, like the stars were aligned.
It's a great word, because Kurt knew my background prior to banking. Like I was, team director and working with the youth. I had many years working in the Boys and Girls Clubs, right? Like, working in schools, charter schools, like just being with the youth, like that was just my thing. And I went with a change of pace, and for somebody to think of you, like when you're not even in the realm, right? You're not even in the realm, and he's like, "Nah, I want you."
Some told him to call you.
Yeah, he called me, and I was like,
you gotta give yourself some type of credit. That's a testament to you,
Nah,
like the
for
fact that
sure.
he even had you in mind. Because sometimes, a lot of times, we don't realize how much people are actually paying attention. Like you said, a lot of people, they may be paying attention, but they're not giving you that love. They're just sweeping it under the rug, but they're still paying attention. You just gotta keep doing you, and once that opportunity presents itself, you just gotta hop on it.
Gotta hop on.
I mean,
yeah.
That's what I did, man.
So what's next for I know you said next year, but what's next for the CIS run? What do you see kind of evolving to? What do you kind of see it evolving to for years to come?
And also, let me piggyback on that. Like, one thing that like on my way here, I'm trying to think of questions. Like, you as a man, like, how do you help these young women grow? Aside from basketball, you mentioned that, I think I saw somewhere where it says like you guys take pride in like developing student athletes. You know what I mean? Like, you as a man, what's that challenge of developing young women into not only basketball players, but just great human beings?
Well, I women empowerment. Look, I'll just tell you this. If I didn't have daughters, I might be a different. Listen, having daughters has a major effect. So shout out to my babies. I love them. So, and they had a big effect on my life. But women empowerment is like a real thing that I pay attention to, and I just believe in the power of sports being a vehicle for your life. You feel me? Like, I just believe in sports being an avenue that you can use to make you the best version of yourself. Part of the reason why I have so much respect for this man right here on my shirt, Kobe, because I was so fascinated at how he transitioned from this ultra maniacal killer on the court to making it his business to show youth, specifically even women in the girls' game of basketball, like, oh, you can be elite, even on like the biggest scale, where the women's game needs to be. But more so than anything, a lot of his teachings, really resorted to like using it as a life tool, and
I wanted to bring, that's a great point, because I wanted to kind of bring that up. Did you see, or did you ever have a conversation about like the effect that Kobe, like obviously Kobe's passing, we've seen him kind of seeing his career, but like the effect that it had on some of your women players? Like, did you can you kind of like explain that? Because I personally haven't really tapped into that side to see kind of what their reaction is. I talked to my bros about it, talked to the guys about it, but never really got like a woman or girl's perspective on it.
You gotta understand, like, anybody who advocates for the women game, like if you're just like, when you're genuine about it, the women and the girls know that and they respect that and they'll battle for you. You feel me? And I think that's why, a lot of the good male coaches in the women's game, they've created that sense because, I think the male presence in the women's games has a place. I think it absolutely, no, I'm good. I think it has a place. I think there needs to be, and I think that in itself, the male presence to a young woman, that can serve as major benefit, right? It's just all about the message. What are you teaching? And that's why I truly tried to focus on, this pandemic is just creating a sense of everybody has so much time to think to themselves about what you really want, where you need to be. So let's start to transition that thought, ladies, into how are you going to use this and this time we have together now in CIS run and all that, how are you going to use that going forward? How are you going to use these confidence builders you have towards school, towards getting that job, going for that career? When you stand battling at a girl, you got that You go. How can you channel that when you're trying to when you want to get in Harvard?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, I never even thought about that. Like, I just assumed, all your athletes, all the women athletes just automatically go to D1. Not everyone, that's not going to be everyone's path. So how do you work with the ones that all right, she has a great heart, she plays hard, but she's probably not going to make it as far as she would like. Like, how do you treat that case? Like, how do you then prepare her for the real world, I'd say, you know what I mean? What's the difference between someone is a sure thing, like, all right, this girl is going D1, compared to a girl that you're like, man, she may not go that far, but she works her tail off. Let me see if I could help her with these certain skills so when she gets out in the real world. Is that something that you're conscious of, you're mindful of, or you just focused on the game itself?
Well, I think you have to be, because and I haven't gotten this from a lot of my coaches that I played under, and even players that I looked up to back in the day. A good friend of mine, Ray Noyles, will always say when you send me your best players, send me your worst. Send me your worst too, because it's the core of your players that make your team. At the end of the day, the ones that are grinding for every ounce of talent that they can achieve, out of work, putting in those hours, right? Those are the players that make winning teams, and you have to want to work with them first. But you also have to, use I call it even reality therapy sometimes, man. Tell the player, the athlete, boy or girl, right? But tell them yo, this is where you stand currently, and this is really where you can be and how it can affect us as a unit, how it can affect your team.
But this is also about how it can affect you, and so I don't. If I see a girl that I know that can gain a lot out of the game of basketball, but not be some ultra star player, I'm gonna push her just as hard, if not harder, because that effect is gonna come somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really believe that that confidence she gets out of learning how to make the tween crossover after fumbling it over and over and over all summer. She gets that down. You never know what an athlete period can get.
It's crazy. It's coaching. I coach girls and boys. Coaching girls is totally different than boys.
Oh, man.
They get stuff so quick. They don't really have from my experience, they don't have too much back and forth with
real.
you.
It's real.
It's I'll tell same drill. I'll have a girl and a boy. Okay, do this and that. The dude won't do it right. I'll tell him how to correct it. Same, the girl may get it wrong. I'll tell her how to correct it. The next one, the girl's getting it correct. The next one, the boy, he's somewhere else. Yeah. So I understand, in class, we're just totally somewhere else, and the girls are just doing it, working. It's really we're just programmed totally different.
Yeah.
Totally different.
They are definitely wired different. But I'm also learning that too, right? I ain't been working with girls for years and years and years like I have been with boys. Seeing them work, but seeing them, there's you'll see a sense of frustration, but you'll see this other side of determination that's just
you see it boiling though.
Yeah. It's
they're not really acting out like boys will, fuck up, taking a shirt off.
But so in some cases, some are.
Some are. That is true. That's very true.
And they're right back to it. I saw a girl this summer play defense as good as I've probably seen a high school player play defense.
No.
Period. Just her technique, and that's
defense is effort. If you know anything about coaching the game, defense, there's some fundamentals with it, but that's effort. That's just flat out effort and want to. And her want to was to never let a girl damn near cross half court. And she was just watch a girl do it play after play after play. No doubt boys can definitely do it, but it's very cool to see the girls' game elevate on a competitive level, on a competition level, to where I watched bubble game after WNBA bubble game the same way I watched the NBA game. Like,
And shout out to Boston, man. We got an NBA champ, man. I mean, a WNBA champ. Shout out to
who also we named one of our awards after the Shea Petty Leadership Award.
Shout out to her. We gotta get her on the program,
we gotta
man.
get her here.
Yeah, get on the program, man.
she's a big inspiration. I watched her in the Boys and Girls Clubs when we were younger, put up, banners up there, like, and you just knew something special about her, man. But she's got a great heart, and she's a great player.
Yeah, shout out to, I just gotta these plugs real quick. And shout out to Steve Haley, man, bro. We gotta get you on here, brother.
Please, yo.
Please,
bro.
But can you get in this here for me too?
Yeah, I got you. I got you. I gotta hear him after this, man.
Yeah, we gotta get all them. We gotta get all the folks here, man.
And while we on Steve, man, he's also a big reason why, like, I had a 2-hour conversation with him when I was really like down to like, damn, am I gonna take this job? Me and Steve don't, like, we're the cousins that don't talk every single day. When we do, it's about something. Yeah, you know what I mean? And and Steve, he's subtle voice, but million words of wisdom if you really just sit down and listen to him. And he just made it make sense. Like, yo, you're you, man, and you got this, like, you still, and he even let me understand, like, you letting that little Smoove creep back into you, like, don't worry about that, just do it.
Yeah. And shout out to him, he has so much, he has so, like, I don't, like, the reason why we get a lot of, like, over the quarantine, I got, Coombs, had Coombs on the live, and I had, Gurley on the live, too. Yes. The reason why I try to do this is because there's so many young kids, like I said before, that didn't even know who Jamal Coombs was, which is crazy to me. But it's just like, it's just the times. And what I want this program to be is just like, we gotta keep passing this information on. You feel what I'm saying? Like, let's limit this learning curve. You feel what I'm saying? Like, us being the age that we have been, going through the things that we have been through, relationships, basketball, life, whatever the case may be, these young boys, we trying to preach that to them, like, bro, I've been in your spot. I understand, like, let me help you. And those people like Steve Haley that have been in certain positions that seem like the conversations that we had and things that he experienced just blew my mind. And so, you feel what I'm saying? It's like, I want to be able to just show that and showcase that to, like, a lot of these young boys that are lost, that are like, it's just a lot of information I just want to continue to pass on and just, like I said, give it those flowers and just continue this legacy to keep growing on, man. So shout out to you, Steve Haley, man. Like I said, we got to get you on the program. You know I love you, bro.
Stevie's good people, man. But he's
definitely got a million words of wisdom.
Absolutely.
Sure.
So kind of wrapping things up, man. So tell us what you got next, man. One thing before we get into that. Why is women's basketball overlooked though? Like, why is it more overlooked than men? Like, shout out to the barbers that are here, the young lady. I was telling her about you and the work that you do. And a lot of people don't know about a lot of women's basketball and women's sports in general. So on your perspective, why do you think it gets overlooked versus like men's sports and basketball?
Well, I think it's, a lot of it's grown with, because you had to think back in the day, there was a certain appreciation like for it, within especially the college game. But once media cracked into, sports, it became about the instant, the instant thing, the instant gratification, the instant superstar move, right? And then that just goes where talent beats everything else. So if you're flying high, you're the fastest, that's what the viewer wants. But the basketball purist understands the women's game. But to really answer your question, star power, man. Star power it's a big deal. And so when you have guys that are doing like out of worldly like things, that becomes the star power that you want to see. Whereas you see, a girl like Tia Cooper on, LA Sparks, she got Kyrie-ish type handle, right? She got game.
We got this after. We gotta keep her out, and she looks good.
Look. Not for nothing. Tia's beautiful. And that's, and look, not for nothing. If we're keeping it 100, that's another appeal of the game that women should have and not feel like bad about it. Like being beautiful and playing ball, like that's great. Why not? Like, you know, and shouldn't be worried about somebody else viewing them as, you know, some super sex symbol just because they want to look good, and be a dog hooper at the same time. Like, let them do that. Let them be that. So when the girls are posting their little fly pictures and like all that stuff, but then like, see in the court, they're not for play.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Different side.
It's a total different side, man. So I just think it's coming.
Yeah.
I think the pandemic helped a little bit. We're gonna give it a little bit of a magnified eye.
Yeah.
But women's basketball has always been growing steadily within the years in this decade for sure.
It is, and another big thing too is in NBA 2K. Now you can play as a woman, my player.
My player.
Like
player.
That the psyche of that is gonna be crazy. You're gonna have men even doing that.
What took so long? To think about it?
Man.
Listen, man. I'm
Look
a.
where the money's going. They see the money's going.
I'm a semi-gamer myself, and when I saw that, I was like, game changer.
That's fire, bro.
Game
You're gonna
changer.
have your daughters just playing that. You're gonna have so many young girls like, I want to create my own. You feel what I'm saying? It's just gonna the imagery is just gonna build so many different.
Like I remember like having, you know, have some lunch table conversations with the boys, and you know, I game here and there. So I tell them like, you don't want no smoking, no 2K. And then one of the girls from the distance is like, "What's to see? I'll smack you in 2K." I was like.
They play too.
No, but they was like, yo, she's nice. You don't want to play her. She's nice. I was like, all right, take your word for it.
That's dope. And now she's her own player.
Yeah,
So, like you said, it's steadily evolving.
Yeah, it's steadily evolving, man. But listen, bro, I have seen so much high level women's basketball over the last year. Like I'm seeing girls now in the college practices now. Like there are a couple of girls, you catch the videos, they're coming down the lane, putting it down.
Yeah, see one girl in college, she got a long braid.
Stanford, goes to Stanford, goes to Stanford. She's gonna be a player. She's definitely. I wish I can give it a name, but
shout out to you, sis.
Yes, please.
Why don't like, you know, growing up, like Baller's Life was everything. Like, going on Baller's Life, figuring out who was. Or what was the other?
The who's who? Slam.
You go online and you see who was coming down the pipeline. Why don't they do that with women? Like I only see the women in college and WNBA, but you don't see like Bronny. What is he? Like you heard about Bronny since he was like 5 years old, balling. Like,
well, it's so there is that, right?
Is that does that contribute to why they don't get as much love because they're not getting that notoriety yeah, like they're not getting on camera at such a young age.
It's coming.
I'm 1,000% with you.
I'm gonna give you a shout out after you say that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm 1,000% with you. I think in a couple of years past, as we've gotten to what I call the mixtape era, right? Basketball mixtape era.
I've never seen a high school women's.
I'm gonna send you some after this, bro. There's a couple of girls that's going to UConn now. Paige Buchers. Look, Caroline Ducharme has her own, and she's from Milton, Mass. Right, top 5 player in high school, and that is a thing now, right? So now they have women's slam, right? They have Baller's Life WBB, I think it's called, like Overtime Girls. So they're adding, the women's component is being added. People are recognizing how special the girls' game is, and it's happening at a certain surge that I think you'll see in the next 2 years. You're going to see a lot of events that were men circulate. You're going to see a lot of women's, which I've always hoped that.
Like, why isn't there a women's Drew League?
I was going to say that. I was going to say.
I can kind of see Sis Run developing to that, and I don't want to. Yeah, we keep it honey. You still gonna do it. No one can stop your purpose. So like, even if we put that in.
I mean, listen. No, you can.
You gotta beat them to the punch.
You can put it out there, because trust me, that's what. Look, the girls think like you.
Yeah.
They're like, yo, when they said, yo, you're gonna have a tournament, right? This wasn't like I had the tournament idea in my head. I was like, no, I'm gonna do this certain amount of weeks. I'm gonna have a nice big end of finale. By week 3, they was like, yeah, so when's the tournament?
Yeah, they on it.
And I said, well, you asked for it. You got it.
Yeah.
And so now, once I kind of saw what it was, what it could be, the interest I was getting, by the time the tournament happened, I was getting interest from like teams out of state that was like, yo, is it too late? They were thinking like Cicerone was gonna still go on.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
You got it.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're aiming for. But next summer is going to be special, man. We actually got some couple small events. We're doing a nice little showcases. My thing is creating opportunities for the women, man. So the same way all these boys teams and travel leagues are creating exposure opportunities for guys to still be seen by colleges, I want our women and our girls to get that opportunity too. So doing some things like that.
That was another question I had, like, you know, when it comes to the recruitment, are you involved in that in any way? Like, say, if you do have like an extremely talented girl that's getting recruited by college, what is your involvement, especially now that you're a high school coach? Like, I always used to wonder, like, I went to Ringe with my boy Tori, and I always used to think to myself, like, are they making highlight tapes for these kids into the colleges? Because I felt like there were so many talented people, and like I'm from Cambridge, I live in Cambridge, and I felt like there was a whole bunch of talented kids from Cambridge that just went nowhere, and I felt like it was partly
Cambridge is a gold mine though. You know that though, right?
there's a gold mine, but there was so many kids that didn't go as far as you would have thought, and I always blamed it on coaching, because I'm like,
okay, yeah,
why aren't there college coaches to these games to watch these kids play? So like,
good point.
Is that something that you're mindful of? Is that something that you plan on doing for these girls?
Yeah, that's part of what this is all about.
Is there any restriction to it? Because, you know, people be getting in trouble for these type of recruitments, like.
That's another good point.
You're allowed to get involved in that type of stuff.
That's another good point. So me being a high school coach and running something that's, let's just say this: what I'm doing is perfectly legal in terms of the grounds of women playing outside of their school seasons, right? College and high school. But there is a certain thing about talking to actual players. You can go down Washington Street, ride by the park, and see whoever you want. But said coach that was there from Syracuse, right? He can't go walk up to said girl and be like, "Hey, I just saw you kill right there. What's up with?" So it's, you know, there's some you know, trickiness with that. You gotta be careful. But we were getting that. Yeah. We were getting the likes of like, and I knew that. I knew once we put it out there, the coaches would call D3, D2, D1. We even had some semi-pro like scouts just like inquire, man, like. You know, one of our better college players, Stick, she actually she couldn't play with her team in the Invitational because she was going to Romania that same day. Wow. You know what I mean? So a lot of tiers of players, man, and that's what was just so unique about it. And they all got to play against each other. You know what I mean? Like, you got to have high school girls playing against college girls. That don't just happen everywhere.
You're embarking on this new journey, you know what I mean? Like where's your head at, and where do you see your program, both the Cicerone and, you know, the head coaching at Brighton, like the next 5 to 10 years? Like, you know, I don't know if you plan on being there that long, but like, where do you see these programs going?
Well,
and like, what's your process of getting ready for that? Like, how you stay focused on like the mission?
I actually see my high school program. If I stay the course, which is something I just like, that's just like my motto, right? Like, if we stay the course and have girls just appreciate learning the game at Brighton High, if that's what I want Brighton High to be known as. And I believe within 5 years, Brighton High can be back to being known as a school where you can walk out of there 4 years later and feel like you can accomplish anything. Like, that's really my goal, right? Like, for a young female, young freshman, she wants to put Brighton on her list because she believes that Brighton can help her be the best version of herself. And that's just my goal for even the boys and girls. Like, I want them to walk across that stage being the absolute best versions of themselves before they started at Brighton High, man. And so I see that. I actually had, a couple city title dreams, like, so I see that stuff, and I'm a competitor, so don't get it twisted. Yeah. The wins will come, but the losses will too, and you got to learn how to work with that first. Now, as far as Sis Run, you said something just big, and you said Drew League feel, and while I want Sis Run, and I believe we'll have more and more of that for these girls as far as the invitational, the actual runs, we're setting up for a pretty big summer. But something I've been talking to even some of the older college girls about is like just giving the girls the tools, right, to be just mentally tough and focused the same way, and just being able to accomplish, anything. Like, a lot, we deal so much with, as a community, not wanting to be vulnerable, right? You know what I mean? And I just think that's just important, especially just for women in the women's game. Like, yo, be vulnerable, show your emotions, show you don't care, don't be scared to be that girl, to look across the way and say, nah, you can't fuck with me,
But sorry to cut you off, but that's a great point, because that's one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of develop like the after hour invitational too, is like create that brotherhood, that community. I'm not gonna say brother because we have women too, but that community where it's like you got people from that first generation we did it to the 20th year that we did it, all coming together, sharing information, talking to each other about their trials and tribulations. And that's what I see too with the Sis Run, because it's just like those girls that are now in college at these top D1 schools can talk to the high school girls. Like, listen, this is what you need to do. This is what college is about, because we all know what college is about. So many different distractions. That's your first time kind of being on your own and got to manage your own time. There's so much shit that go with that. And also, you're competing with everybody that was the man or the girl at their last previous school, which is high school. So that dynamic is totally different. Like, when you're in high school, you got dudes that are probably never going to pick up a basketball again ever in a day in their life. And then you go to college, you got all 1,000-point scorers.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on that, because that's actually the real unheralded part about Sis Run, is like, that's the sisterhood component, where you got high school girls going there every week seeing girls that have already done it. You know what I mean? And even at high level, girls coming from, we got a couple Ivy League girls there. A girl from Penn, Faye Parker, shout out to her. But to watch them, there was no separation at the park, right? There was like, if two high school girls were on a team with 3 college girls, it was like school time, right? And let's say they would lose. I watched a number of college girls like take those same high school girls, and I would see them on the side like yo, like, you got to guard up. She's waiting for you to sit under that screen so she can shoot every time. But then it also goes towards what you were talking about, just life experiences. What it is, what's it like at the next level? Right. What's it like for a girl who's been thinking about a prep school for so long, for a girl that actually went through it?
Let's take it even deeper. What if they're having like parent or father issues and parent issues, and they're still trying to use basketball as their outlet? Like, there's just so many deep things that don't really get discussed, that I feel like things like the Sis Run and other programs to implement can like start to unveil these conversations. I
agree. It's about having those conversations, and those conversations happen. Like, we've had some testimonials that you'll see where, and I rewatch them a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I just feel like I need that to hear. For example, one of my, and again, I would love to shout out every girl, but there's so many, and shout out to all y'all, but there's a couple in particular, like, for example, Ari King goes to EMK, one of the, what was the defensive player of the year in her conference, she's an MVP of charter school, right? But she comes here, she's playing against all the city girls, college girls. She was once a Brighton High Bengal. But she comes here and playing against that top competition. Not only has she made a whole, another cluster of friends, her game has elevated tremendously to the point where I had big AAU programs calling me for her. If she doesn't step foot in Sis Run, this never happens. You know what I'm saying? May not. She's a hard worker, don't get me wrong, great girl. But she's like one of the examples where like, but when in her testimonial, she says like, it was just cool to bond with girls that played ball that was from everywhere. That was her deal. Like, but she used that to help her get the most out of it. And I think there's just different examples of that. And that's part of why I want to keep it going.
I know you was about to say something.
No, I was just saying like that goes
Back to what you were talking about earlier about the women empowerment. There's so many different ways that these women could grow in that program. Like you just mentioned, whether it's her just embracing the sisterhood, the friendship, but like she wouldn't have gotten any better than she is now, like if she wasn't exposed to the other talent that forced her to sharpen her skills. So not only are they getting exposed to just different people from different places with different games, but also when they're on the sideline talking after a loss, that's the information, you know what I mean? That's the currency that people
Sharing
don't.
the information.
And that's currency,
earlier.
bro. That's currency, you know what I mean? Information, like that goes a long way. Sometimes people don't realize it, and maybe it takes these type of programs to bring people together where it just happens organically instead of you feeling like you have to reach out to someone and beg them for the information.
That's a good point.
You just create something like that where people genuinely wants to be there and they're looking out for each other and creating just something that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap it up, man. We could be here all night talking, man. I appreciate this conversation, man. It's been great, man. Shout out before we kind of get into like, before I kind of wrap this up, but shout out anything that you want to shout out you got coming up, or shout out also your Instagram, the Sis Run Instagram.
Yeah, at Coach_Smoove with the VE at the end. That's my personal Instagram. Shout out to at Sis_Run. And you can go there and see basically all we've done this past summer between some of the mixtapes we've done. We're going to be doing some personal profiles because college and hopefully high school basketball will be back in the swing. And we just want to, again, give the flowers now, right? While these girls are just on this journey. And it's just been, it was so valuable to have the girls just there. Exposure and opportunity is just all this is really, about, and really like centering yourself within the game. And I want to give that back, even if it's on the scale of like social media. So shout out to that. Shout out to Brighton High girls basketball. Shout out to Brighton High. Shout out to the whole Sis Run team. My moms and pops, obviously. Shout out to Coach Bronco. Shout out to J Mob. Shout out to Mitch. Shout out to Herc Skills and Drills. Shout out to Hardwood Jungle. Shout out to Next Level Factory. I'm there on a regular basis up there, like training at the Dana Bouse, facility, at least, within the recent time. So shout out to them. And there's so many shout outs I can give, but everybody, I always talk about doing the work, man. There's so many people that's not getting the love for they do the work every single day. And shout out to y'all, man. Just keep doing it.
Biggs, man. We got another one.
Another one for sure.
We never
Great
miss,
conversation. Bro. Never miss, for sure. I definitely am honored to have this sit down with you. Definitely enlightened. I respect everything that you do, especially in the climate that we're in. You know what I mean? It's important to help these young women and let them know that they're loved and people is out here trying to look out for them and help them grow. You know what I mean? So I respect everything that you do, and I wish nothing but more blessings and prosperity in your future, man.
I think like one of the key messages of tonight is just like those things that come to you, don't question them. You feel what I'm saying?
Nah,
It's just
yeah, real
like
talk.
that one situation, though, that one thought, that one person that reached out, that trying to lay that brick in your head that you don't even know what it's gonna lead to. You're gonna change so many people's lives. So like those things come to all of us. It's not about playing basketball. It's not about like these things that we talking about. Are just stories to the bigger picture. Like we all get these ideas. We all get these calls from people that encourage us to do certain things or present us with an opportunity. But sometimes we outthink ourselves. So it's just about taking that leap of faith, continue to have faith in the universe, continue to have faith in yourself, and trust your ability, man. Those things are not coming to you for no reason. You know what I'm saying? So it's 2020, man. We can see what can happen wrong, will go wrong. So it just continue to be you, continue to live in your purpose, man. Shout out to Coach Smoove, man. Shout out to my guy G, man. This is a wonderful one, man. Shout out to my man Kevin, man. Shout out to Tori. Shout out to Tyreek. Shout out to Big Ups. We here, man. It's the AfterHour.tv. Once again, shout out to Coco. We at Mo Barbershop. If you're trying to get laced up, trying to get fresh, man, make sure you come through and sign up, man, online to get your fresh lineup. Also, we just launched our new website, www.theafterhour.tv. You're trying to get your after hour snapback. You see me and my guy Biggs rocking on me, you know what I mean? Make sure you get yours, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We're gonna make sure you get one.
Gotta grab one.
We're gonna make sure. But man, it's the After Hour, man. I'm your host, Rob Blue, here with my boy Biggs, man. We're gonna get it popping, man. We got another dope episode that we just locked in, man. Stay tuned. You already know what it is.
Yes, sir.
Stay lit. Let's go.